Agua Dulce Town Council meeting.
Report by Stephanie English, who wrote and said she's ill, but I believe, and let's just kind of go through these items and see if anybody from the county would like to give a report. First item is the Board of Supervisors motion addressing fire insurance challenges and implementation of AB 3074. Anybody familiar enough with that?
AB 3074 is still in limbo. It will not be enforced this year. It will probably not be enforced next year. Who knows when it will be enforced? For those who are not familiar, AB 3074 is what established Zone 0. So it's what says that you cannot have any flammable materials within 5 feet of your structure. So the Board of Forestry has still not defined what flammable materials is. So until they do that, we're not enforcing it. And actually nobody across the state really is enforcing it. So it's still kind of in limbo.
So that really had nothing to do with home insurance.
Well,
yes.
Okay. So there's something going on with insurance companies. And so this came to my attention. I'm surprised that I only heard from one person about this. There is and it's mentioned in that motion, because I think it was a driving force for the motion, and I thank the supervisor for putting that motion forward. There's something that farmers, State Farm, Mercury, and a couple of other insurers are part of this group that are putting together or have put together this wildfire risk assessment something. And what I heard from a constituent, because they came to me and said through the 5th district and said that they were insured with farmers. Farmers said they would not renew their policy unless they took this assessment. So there's 2 parts to I helped to navigate this assessment. There's actually 2 parts to it. One is a self-assessment, and it's online, and there's no charge for that. And then the other part of it, which is what they're pushing, is for people to become designated wildfire safe homes or whatever it is. There's a cost to that, and you have to apply for this designation. There's 2 levels of designation from this insurance. But as I told you, if the insurance company is telling you to do the assessment, go ahead and do the assessment. There's no charge for that. And then they come back and tell you if you have to apply for this designation or not. There is a charge for that and a separate inspection for it. What's interesting, the most interesting part of this, and why this is coming up a lot, is that this particular person who contacted me and was contacted by the insurance company is not even in the fire zone. So he was worried about AB 3074 because this does have a lot of the assessment questions have to do with what is within 5 feet of your home, and they're basically questioning about Zone 0. And I explained to him, I said, well, it becomes difficult for us because even if we were enforcing 3074, we wouldn't be enforcing it on him because he's not even going to get an inspection. He's not in the fire zone. But this is where insurance companies are making their own fire zones.
Yeah.
And we don't have any control over that. Right. So because insurance companies, we look at hazards. Insurance companies look at risk.
Right.
So risk is a larger component, a larger area. So since insurance companies are looking at risk, they've grown that zone. And so it puts us in a tenable position because we're being asked these questions of people, and we don't really know what to tell because they're not going to get an inspection. They're just not going to get one. They're not in the fire zone. Yeah. So it's interesting that these insurance companies are doing. I know what they're doing. Yeah. Right? We all know what they're doing.
Wildfire prepared home certification.
That's it. Yeah, that's the name of their program.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you. I couldn't remember.
Yes,
there's so many of these different things going around. So again, I've only heard from one resident, which is amazing to me because I would have thought that I would have heard from a lot more than that. So I don't know if, people did get this or if insurance companies are, telling people that they're just doing it or, going through the assessment. The assessment is one.
The recording has stopped.
Okay, can you hear it again?
Yes, we can.
Oh, you're loud and clear.
Oh, man.
Perfect.
It's like every 15 minutes,
Okay.
we're losing it.
All right, so we're gonna hold you to 15 minutes on your reports. So, there we go. Report back from LA County staff, if anybody's here, regarding illegal commercial trucking business at 13025 Sierra Highway in Sleepy Valley. Anybody here from the county that would like to address that concern? Okay, if they show up.
Good evening. It's Robert with Public Works, Building and Safety Code Enforcement.
Great, perfect, Robert.
Good evening. I don't have anything to report on the trucking business. That's not our jurisdiction of enforcement. But I wanted to address the building code violations that we had cited for. The latest update is earlier this week, Monday, there was a district attorney conference with the property owner. It looks like the property owner has submitted plans to the Department of Regional Planning to address the building code violations, and it looks like they even submitted for an oak tree permit. And that the oak tree permit is something I don't have any further information on. But my understanding is in the DA conference, the property owner was given 6 months for the next hearing. And I think that's because that's where the permit process would work its way through Department of Regional Planning. And then ultimately they'll probably come to Building and Safety for the actual permit to correct the building code violations. And that's all I have to report on that.
Perfect. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions regarding that for anybody? Okay. The next item we have, which I don't know if we can give a report on this or not, but this report back from LA County staff regarding Sleepy Valley Water Company and the failed adjacent septic system. Do you know anything about that?
I do.
Anybody? All right. Well, while we're waiting, Chris would like to give a short report of where we're at.
Yeah, so the situation became kind of weird this week with public health. The wells for the water company are on Sierra Highway and Steel Avenue. And the property immediately next door at 13007 Sierra Highway has a failed septic tank. It's got a hole in the side of it. It was examined in early 2022 and confirmed to have a hole in the side of it and a crushed leach line. And the county issued a citation to the homeowner to replace it. Because what it's doing is that hole in the side is causing larger than expected amounts of nitrate to go into the groundwater supply, and our well pumps are right next door at a depth of about 100 feet. The state water board mandates that for a public water system, you cannot have more than 10 milligrams per litre of nitrate in the water. The county turned around and cited the water company because our testing showed that it was higher than that, so we got the fine. And we were told to get the nitrates down to half of that state mandated level, so 0.5 or 5 milligrams per litre instead of 10. So the water company purchased, at some considerable expense, a nitrate filtration system. We also paid to pump out the septic system out of the house next door 2 years ago. And that combined to give us what we needed, which was a water level of less than 10 milligrams per litre. When a couple of months ago, somebody from land use attended this meeting to talk about this, they basically said, everything's okay now. The water has been at less than 10 milligrams per litre for a while, so we're not going to do anything with the homeowner. And we've said, well, yeah, but there's still a hole in the septic tank, and it's still, leaching nitrates into the water table. So public health land use has said, we think that because the level is less than 10, everything's hunky-dory. Public health, who we deal with as a water company, has come back to us and said, no, you must put your nitrate system into play. And we said, well, right now, when we're pulling water out of those wells, one well is at 4.4 and the other one's at 4.8, and we don't really need to run a nitrate system because they're both below the level that you've set naturally now coming out of the water supply. And they came back to us and said, well, no, you must test monthly and you must run that nitrate filtration system permanently. We got an email, I think, yesterday saying, and if you don't tell us that you're going to do this by 4 o'clock today, then there's going to be trouble. So we spelled out our answer with one finger. And this really, I was hoping Stephanie might be here tonight so we could discuss this, because this just makes no sense at all. Running a nitrate filtration system when your nitrate levels are at 40% of the stated maximum is ridiculous. It's plumbed in a way that allows us to bypass it, so that we can just run the pump straight up to the tank without going through the filtration system. And the county said, no, you can't do that. You can't bypass it. You either have it in and switched on, or you remove it completely. Oh, by the way, we're not going to do anything about the next door neighbour that's causing the problem in the first place. So it does seem that there's some sort of agency overreach at play here, I think. It speaks to a complete lack of common sense. And we will, as a water company, obviously have to now take this up. What we decided as a water company would do is monitor once a month through testing. And once we see it go to 6, we will break down the gates of the house next door if we need to and pump their septic system out again. And if we see it go to 8, then we'll recommission the nitrate system. And that's our proposal that we're going to put in front of LA County. I'm sure they're going to tell us we can't do that, but we're going to do that. And if they want to sue us because we did that, we'll counter-sue them because of what they didn't do. So that's where this is all headed. It's ridiculous. It's just, crazy stuff. Yeah. People with a PhD who are just, book smart and street stupid.
What's the name of the county officials?
So we are dealing with people in public health, Beverly Tway, Andau Trong, and there's one other person in that copy.
This man who was making all these.
Cachetarian, who was the person from land use, attended the town council meeting probably about 3 or 4 months ago in late 2023, and said, everything's below 10, so life is good.
Yeah. Well, and as far as I know, as long as your levels are below the level that they have as a threshold, you're not required to do any type of filtration. But you're telling me that they actually mandated you, even though they said the requirement is 10, but we want your requirement to be 5.
Yep.
Okay.
Arbitrary and capricious, I think.
Yeah, it sounds like the
legal term I would use.
Okay. So you're going to fire that letter off?
Yeah, so the water company will in due course reply to the agency, and we'll see where it all goes.
Okay.
I think we're comfortable with the quality of the water that we're providing to our customers at the moment.
Exactly. Okay. So the next item up is the current ongoing issues with water conservation ordinance, public works, GDDs, which is the garbage disposal something, and LA County response to Senate Bill 552. So if we have anybody on the county side that would like to take up any of those concerns, we'd love to hear from you.
Well, they've named GDDs, haven't they? They're not called garbage disposal districts anymore.
Yeah, North County.
Yeah, new initials, okay.
It's been reimagined.
Okay, so kind of like clean water, clean beaches? Sure. Okay, all right, so, but we haven't heard anything, we haven't gotten any notice of any, because I believe that they were gonna make a presentation to the community once they got to a point.
Right. I think they're waiting for their draft EIR to get out.
Oh.
And the 552 from the correspondence I've seen, it's really between the state and the county because the county becomes the local agency to implement 552.
Right.
So the state and the county are still trying to figure out what they're going to do between each other before they come to the communities and implement whatever it is they're going to do. So
Okay, all right.
that I think is what's being figured out there.
And it had to do with the drought, and here we are with above normal rainfall, and we had above normal rainfall last year. So, but I know that they're trying to put this in place in case we do have a drought again. That'll already be set up, ready to go. Okay, so we're going to move on to the California 34th District Assembly District report from Assembly Member Tom Lackey. Carlo Basile. Carly, are you here? I don't hear Carl. He shows up. Let me know. All right, next up we have California 21st Senate District. Senator Scott Wilk, his representative is Thomas Moreno. Thomas was here last meeting, if I'm not mistaken. Have we seen him? I don't see him. All right, if Thomas shows up, let me know. Next up, we have U.S. 27th Congressional District, Mike Garcia. Jackie's always here. So, where is she?
Here in person.
She's usually here in person. I don't see her oh, I saw something happen.
Okay, this is who got online. No Jackie.
Okay, all right, so we'll go on to the next one.
Is it coincidental? They got our votes last week and they all abandoned it.
Yeah, they just all left town. I guess.
London.
All right. Santa Clara River Watershed Area Steering Committee Measure W Watershed Coordinator Peter Massey at treepeople.org, and Amanda Bedley. Amanda's with us here tonight. Hi, Amanda.
Heather.
Welcome. Excuse me, Heather.
Tree People's Community Organizer, and I'll be giving an update for Peter.
Perfect.
A meeting of the Watershed Area Steering Committee was held on March 6th. The committee recommended 3 new projects for the 2024-2025 fiscal year stormwater investment plan funding recommendations for submission to the Regional Oversight Committee for review. This includes a scientific study identifying best practices for maintaining stormwater dry well capacity and 2 feasibility studies for projects in Santa Clarita, one at Old Orchard Park in Newhall, and a bacteria mitigation study. The date of the next committee meeting board is to be decided. And I have another update on the Water Talks program, which will be wrapping up at the end of this month with 2 events. On March 18th, Tree People and Stantec will meet with the Acton Town Council to present a report on recommendations for the chronic flooding issues in downtown Acton. On March 26th and 27th, LA County Public Works will host a statewide summit on equity and water resilience. The public is welcome, and there's no fee for the 2-day event. Lunch will be provided. There's also an online option. Registration and more information.
The recording has stopped.
So it seems the Agua Dulce Town Council is having difficulty with their Zoom today, and every 15 minutes or so, the recording stops, and they are aware of the problem, so when it starts up again, we'll start again.
I just text Mary to let her know. Hang in there. We'll see what we can do about getting some audio and visual again.
So you just heard that they are working on the problem, and when it comes back up, we'll start recording again.
were given a 15-year CUP with 2 10-year extensions. So in reality, we should have had that CUP until 2043. When we went to renew our extension in December, we had our site inspection, and our inspector said it's time to renew. You've got to put your extension into use, and we went to do that. And when we did, the county told us, regional planning told us that the county is no longer honoring extensions because new CUPs don't have the ability to have extensions. So I tried to fight that for a while because I'm looking at assigned contracts and 2 10-year extensions. But all in all, they've been very nice, and their hands are tied, and there's nothing they can do to give us those extensions. And so I've been dealing with Samuel Day at Regional Planning and Stephanie English, and Supervisor Barber is a big supporter of Carousel Ranch, but there was really nothing anyone could do except tell us, go ahead, reapply, ask for a long period this time, and we'll try to work through the process with you. So as part of that process, I have filed for our CUP. We're kind of in the back and forth phase now of just the initial applications. We have been told that as long as we filed and paid the fee, it was refunded. And, it's an expensive process. We're about $14,000 into the new CUP, so for charities, that's a rough thing. Those extensions were important to us. It's important to us that we get a long time on the next one, but we decided it was worth it to do it, so we can't operate without it. So now that we have filed and we've paid the fee, we are safe for as long as this process goes to continue the work that we do. But the county asked us to come to the council and ask for your support. We've been operating on that location for all these years. There have been no complaints. I think we're a valuable member of this community. We serve children and young adults from Santa Clarita and San Fernando valleys, as well as the Antelope Valley. And we know also for the last 7 years, we've been running not only the equestrian therapy program, but a vocational training program as well, and placing our people with disabilities into jobs. So the reason that we need the CUP in the first place is our property zoned A1. So it requires an A2 zoning to do the work that we do. We aren't looking for anything new. We're not looking to build anything major. We built our covered arena, which was part of the last one. It's been there since 2014. The only thing that's different in this CUP is since that time, we purchased the piece of property behind us from the Riggins, Laura Riggin, split off. She split off a portion of her property because we use that back property once a year for our Heart of the West event that we hold. It's the parking. So it's basically open space. It's not buildable. We're not looking to put arenas there or run a program on it, but what we would like to do is be able to have some horse keeping on it. It is zoned for horse keeping right now. When they come out to inspect if a corner of our horse stalls or any portion of our horse stalls are on that property, even though we own it, we get cited for it. So in order to solve that problem, the county also agrees with us that we should do a lot tie those together so that the CUP encompasses both pieces. So that is really the only difference in this application. We just want to be able to continue operating there for the future. We've paid off our property. Carousel Ranch owns it, and we're looking to just do the work we do forever. So I welcome any questions you might have. But basically, we're just asking for the support of the council.
Okay.
For what you do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Does anybody on the council have any questions?
Yeah. How big is the property behind you that you bought?
We have a total of 20 acres. The piece that we're trying to incorporate into so one piece we are not looking to incorporate because it kind of incorporates the mountain and over to Mint Canyon. So we bought 10 acres, almost 10 acres, 9 point something acres from Laura Riggin. So the piece that is kind of the parking area and the open space back there is about 7 acres. So
But the total lot is 9.
Yes,
Okay.
the total is 9, but 3 of those acres were not. That's a 010, another plot. There's 2 APN numbers on that back property, and we've only asked for the 017 to be included in the CUP because the 010 basically is a mountain.
Basically down into that wash that's back.
Yeah.
Back. Okay.
So.
And what is that zone?
A1.
A1 also?
Yeah.
What is the county asking you to get from us?
Just a letter of support. Saying
Actually, a letter that she presented to the town council, and we opened up for public comment. And if anybody is in opposition, now's the time to raise those concerns. And if not, then we can write a letter basically stating, what do we state?
That you've come and you're requesting
Accepted.
approval and support for your continued operations. Community members voiced whatever concerns there were, or there were no community concerns. And then based on the information presented, the town council has no concerns moving forward with the conditional use permit.
Do we need a motion for that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
Second, by Kim. Any more discussion?
So let me just make this formal.
Yes.
Move to send a letter to regional planning staff, and that's Sam Day that you're working with, indicating that Denise of Carousel Ranch attended the duly noticed March 13th meeting. They presented their request for approval and support for continued operations of their existing equestrian facility. There were no community concerns or negative comments made about the operation of the facility, and based on the information presented, the Agua Dulce Town Council has no concerns moving forward with the conditional use permit.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
So, Chris?
Chris made a motion.
Candy second.
Candy seconded.
Andy, okay.
We just had discussion on it. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I have a question. Would you,
Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
would you request that, they copy Supervisor Marley?
Oh, yeah, that would be wonderful because they are helping us with process.
Copy supervisor, yes.
Yeah.
And I think we raised the question, why the change, but we never really got, did we ever get?
Yeah, because it angers me, as I'm sure it angers you,
Yeah,
that
40,000.
you've gone through the CUP process,
Yeah.
and you have the 2 10-year extensions, and you're operating based on that. And then to be hit with, oh, well, no, we're not honoring that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's just the start of the fees too.
and it's time, and it takes stuff. I mean, it takes time to put a CUP together. It had been, a CUP from 40 years ago, understandable. But this was recent. I was on the council when you were approved the first time, so it angers me that this kind of stuff is happening with the county. I just needed to.
No.
I appreciate that. Believe me, in the beginning, I was angry too, and I tried everything. But there was just nothing anyone could do, even though there were people who said, yeah, I agree with you, but it's the way
Yeah, and I actually
seem unusual.
put that question out to Stephanie and Anish, and Stephanie put it on to Anish. Anish got back and said, I'm giving it to Sam Day, and we haven't heard anything from Sam.
So
So,
it should go through, but,
Here it is.
yeah.
and here's the thing, here's the other part that concerns us as a council. We don't have 30 or 40 complaints about Carousel Ranch. We do have 30 or 40 complaints about other places that are operating that should be under a CUP. They just flat do it. So the consistency is the big concern. And we had a gentleman here a couple years ago that was operating under a CUP. And part of the conditions is that, he did certain things. And he just flat out said, well, I never intended to do those things.
No, you got another one afterwards.
And he still hasn't done it. So it's
So
like,
now my question for you is, what's the term on this CUP?
yes,
I asked for 40 years.
okay.
Because Sam O'Day told me, ask big. So, because I said, well, since they already have another 20 years.
Yeah.
And he said, well, ask for a big number. You may not get it, but if I ask for 40, maybe I'll get it.
Okay, so this is the kind of stuff that,
It's arbitrary.
yes,
It's
yes.
not really in writing.
Yeah, because, you've got something in writing with your conditional use permit that says you've got 2 extensions. And now there should be something in county code that says there are no extensions, not just we're no longer
I think there is new code to that moving forward, but none of us who have extensions were told that. When I asked about it, I said, why wasn't I given like a notice, a letter or
Right.
something? And they said, well, it's not like 15 years ago, everything wasn't on computers, everything wasn't digitized. Now it is. They said the people moving forward, well, of course they're getting notice, but everything's in records and files, in the
So
basement.
that's your fault. Yeah.
And
okay.
so we don't have a way of
I
contacting.
feel your pain. I'm
sorry.
We have to do it
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's just not right.
Yeah, us too, and it's a
Well,
lot.
we appreciate you showing up tonight and answering questions. And we're sorry you have to do it, but we're going to do everything we can to support.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you for
Thank you.
showing up. It's great. All right. So, still.
Don, I hate to interrupt, but
Yes.
there is somebody on the meeting that put in the chat, they were here a couple of months ago about the Sleepy Valley water issue. And I was going to ask him to unmute because he tried to get in there just as we got cut off the last time. So,
I appreciate it.
but there's a bunch of his notes are in the chat. It's Tigran or Tigran. Can you unmute?
All right. Okay.
There's a homeowner to replace the failing system. However, the good news.
The recording stopped again, so we'll start up again when they get it going again.
Regional Planning Commission public hearing for short-term rentals ordinance. It's also going to be held April 24th, so that's going to be a busy day.
So is that like Airbnb stuff?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And party houses and
Okay,
whatever.
that needs to work.
So that's,
It's not great, but it's a start.
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So that's going to be the 24th, which is after our next meeting, so we'll be sure to bring it up for the next meeting also. Incoming correspondence for notice. Summit for Equity and Resilience in Water, in person and online, March 26th, 27th, as Heather brought up. It's going to be hosted by Water Talks, location LA County Public Works. Is that correct? Okay. Alhambra, you want to go? It's also going to be online too. All right, so online and in person, either way. Be there or be square. Regional planning plans filed. Oh, looks like you've got a residential ground mount solar wanting to be put in. Also a COC would legalize 2 storage sheds, 1 outhouse, 2 open pergola structures, 1 attached pergola structure on the property.
And that is the
1395 Sierra Highway.
Okay. The next one is that one, that one?
Yep. B and C are both 13025 Sierra Highway.
Okay. Legalize unpermitted storage. Yeah, if it's unpermitted, it's not legal. Okay. All right. So 8 p.m. Then we want to put a single family residence in an 890 square foot garage and grading. Go for it. Planning on building light agriculture with a 3-bedroom single family residence. Another COC request. Looks like up on Wendy Court, which is off the Escondido, they want to put in a new pool, new spa, new Baja, whatever that is. What is a Baja?
I wonder what a Baja was.
Okay, 1 Baja, new deck, and new patio. Great. And on 8 p.m., 3211015057, they have a SEA, which stands for
Significant ecological area.
Significant Ecological Area. Everything's in 3 letters now. Counseling for proposed, they want SEA counseling for proposed new single-family residence, also known as SFR, and associated development with a protected tree permit. Yep. 13559 Davenport Road, they want to do in addition to a single-family residence. And the same thing on 8300 Solid Canyon Road, 1,000 square foot addition to existing residence. So that brings us to the time we all waited for, which is called the open forum. We have 3 minutes to speak your mind, and we can choose to listen or not. But whoever was here to do that, I don't see any hands raised.
Hey, John.